Hey, my name is Kiri Westbrook, and I am a certified health coach here at HealthMed. And today's presentation is titled, Is Sitting the New Smoking? As you can see, here's an outline of what we'll be going over today. So first we'll talk about what research says about sitting. We'll go through some different studies that have been done and talk about just the effects that sitting throughout the day has on our bodies. Next, we'll talk about being active at work, how you can get up and move while still getting all of your work done throughout the day. Then we'll move on to talk about positive effects of being active. So you're being active at work and how is that positively affecting your health? And then lastly, we'll go over something that we've created called the On the Hour email campaign. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about what research says about sitting. So is sitting bad for you? As you can see in this kind of funny picture, on the left there's a picture of a caveman who is up and running, probably hunting for food. So that's kind of an idea of where our ancestors came from. Their lifestyle was just built around being up and active. They didn't have to go out of their way to go to a gym and pay a membership to work out. Working out and being active was just a part of their everyday life, and that's how our bodies are built. That's what we're built for. We're meant to be up and moving around. So of course there's going to be adverse effects when we're not doing what we were created to do. For years now, you've probably heard that you should shoot for about 30 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity every single day, and that is still a great recommendation. That is still the gold standard and what everybody still believes in. But recent studies have shown that even if you do exercise for 30 minutes a day and hit that mark and that goal, if you're otherwise sitting for long periods of time, you can still have adverse effects that getting up and exercising afterwards won't necessarily reverse. And the sad thing is that there's a lot of studies that have been done that show that on average, most adults spend over half of their waking hours sitting down. And if someone has a 40-hour-a-week desk job, then I would argue that they probably spend more than half of their waking hours sitting down. So that's kind of a scary reality that we kind of want to talk about today. So now that we've kind of laid the groundwork for talking about how sitting for long periods of time is negative for you, we're just going to go into specifically what are these negative effects that happen to our body when we're sitting for long periods of time. And the first one we're going to talk about is about how our circulation decreases. And blood flow is very important in your body. It gets blood all throughout your body, up to your brain, to your limbs, to your feet, all those important things. But sitting for long periods of time can greatly decrease the blood flow that you experience, and this can be very negative for your health. If anything, if you're not getting as much blood to your brain, it's going to be harder to pay attention and focus and use your brain well at work. But then also another negative effect with decreased circulation is the blood flow to your legs. Getting a decreased blood flow to your legs puts you at an increased risk to develop blood clots, which is known as deep vein thrombosis, as well as it could possibly also lead to varicose veins. And one study in particular showed that there was a 33% increase in the lifespan of those who walked around for 2 minutes every hour. So 2 minutes is not a lot of time every single hour. It's not going to decrease the amount of work that you're going to be able to do in the day, but it will help greatly increase the blood flow that you experience. The next negative effect that we're going to talk about is insulin resistance. And insulin resistance can happen with a lack of exercise, when you're sitting for long periods of time, which is what we're talking about today, and when you have a poor diet. And when insulin resistance becomes even greater, it turns into type 2 diabetes. And the reason that sitting for long periods of time can lead to insulin resistance is because when you're sitting for that amount of time, your insulin's ability in your body to uptake glucose decreases. Another negative effect that we're going to talk about is fat burning slows down, and this is not something that we want to happen. There is an enzyme in our body called LPL, and it is involved in burning fat cells in the body. But when you're sitting for even just an hour, that enzyme can decrease in your body by 90%. Also, your bad cholesterol, which is known as LDL, increases along with other fatty molecules that are in your veins and arteries. Along with all of these other negative effects, your muscles and your bones can also become weaker and more brittle, which we do not want to happen. So if your muscles and bones are not being used by your body, then they're going to start to degenerate. Your body is very smart, and it's only going to keep around what it needs. So if you're putting load on your body, then it is going to create more muscle and more bones so it can handle that load. But if it's not experiencing any load, then it's going to degenerate those things since it doesn't need it. And from this, your hips in particular can become tight and weak from a lack of extension. So those muscles around your hips, along with the bones, can become weaker. And this can lead to falls, especially in the older population. And then also with extreme bone degeneration, this can possibly lead to osteoporosis in the future. And the last negative effects that we're going to go over is how sitting for long periods of time can help you develop posture problems. So in particular, back issues can become a problem for people, and you might already experience this if you're sitting for a long period of time, especially if you have a chair with a back, or if you're looking at your computer, you're kind of leaning forward, your neck is strained. And so all of this puts a lot of strain on your back, your neck, your shoulders, all these things. And so this can also develop an increased risk of herniated disc because of the way that your spine is having pressure put on it. And then it also can develop strain in your neck and your shoulders just because you're leaning forward too much. But just simply doing some exercises and focusing on your posture, maybe changing out the desk chair that you have in your office, can greatly reduce these negative effects. Now that we've gone over what research says about sitting and the negative effects that our body experiences because of sitting, we're going to start talking about how you can be active at work. So how do you fix the problem of sitting for too long throughout the day? And the main way that you can fix this problem is, instead of just thinking about how you can get exercise in outside of your workday, try and think about how you can minimize the effects of sitting and the role that sitting takes on your body by getting in little short breaks of activity throughout your workday. So like I said earlier in the presentation, working out outside of work doesn't necessarily counteract all the negative effects that your body experiences from sitting for multiple hours. And so being active at work does not have to take you away from work. It's actually, if anything, going to make you more productive because it decreases your stress, both mentally and physically. So it just helps decrease any stress that you have and increase your motivation to get things done because you're up and taking care of yourself. And so just think about how you can be active throughout your workday, like walking around your desk when you're on the phone if you don't have to be looking at your computer. You can do calf raises when you're at the printer, so you're engaging your leg muscles more, or even just walking to your coworker's office instead of calling them or emailing them. So we're going to talk about the importance of stretching. Sitting puts a lot of extra strain on your neck, your back, your shoulders, and your hips just because of the way that your body is positioned when you're sitting. Your body is formed in a position that it's not supposed to be when it's standing up. And like we keep saying, our bodies are not meant to sit for this long amount of time. And so we're going to have this extra strain because this isn't how our body was meant to be used. And so stretching can actually help prevent a lot of that loss of mobility that sitting causes, especially in your hips and your neck and all of that. And so it can also improve your alignment and your range of motion. So based off those 4 particular muscle groups and areas of the body that are put under strain while sitting, I came up with these 4 stretches for y'all to do throughout the workday. The top left one is a good neck stretch. Then to the right, it's a good back stretch, so you're just twisting in your chair, just holding it for a couple seconds. Bottom left is a good upper shoulder stretch, and then the right one is a fantastic stretch to help with that hip mobility. And this is just kind of a long list of some practical tips that you can incorporate throughout your day at work to get more exercise or just activity in. We're not going to go over all of them, but just some of my favorites. So one that I really love is getting up to refill your water bottle throughout the day. So this is kind of a twofold tip. So it helps you stay hydrated. So if you're up filling up your water bottle 2 or 3 times throughout the day, you're of course going to be hydrated, and you're also going to have that excuse to get up out of your chair. But then if you're also hydrated, you're hopefully going to be using the restroom more often, so that's kind of another built-in, that's that twofold part that's going to help get you active throughout the day. And another one on this list that I really like is replacing your desk chair with an exercise ball. So when you're sitting, your muscles don't have to be contracted or engaged to help keep you balanced because you can just relax and the chair holds you up. But with an exercise ball, there's not that same stability there. And so your muscles have to be just a little bit engaged to help you from falling off the ball. And it's not enough of engagement or contraction that it's going to get you tired throughout the day, but it's just going to help engage those muscles so you don't lose as much mobility and muscle mass from sitting throughout the day. So now we've kind of gone over the negative effects and how to be active at work, we're just going to motivate you by talking about the positive effects of being active. So not only by getting up and being active throughout the day are you going to avoid negative effects, but you're also going to start experiencing positive effects in your life by being active. One of the big things is that being active throughout the workday can help improve office morale between coworkers, mainly because everyone is not quite as stressed, so you're happier, you're more energetic, but then also, being up and out of your desk, you're probably going to be up and be a little bit more social talking about work face to face instead of just over email or over the phone. It can also make it easier to be active after work as well. I mean, if you're already thinking throughout the day at work, how can I be active? How can I get in some more exercise? And, that just is a natural flow to after work, continuing that healthy lifestyle mindset. Can decrease your risk for a number of health issues that we went over at the beginning of this presentation. Then, like I said, it improves overall mood at work because you're not quite as stressed mentally and physically. Then lastly, it can also increase your efficiency at work. You have that increased circulation to the brain and decreased stress, which can increase your motivation and just your work efficiency. Now, lastly, at the end of this presentation, I'm just going to quickly go over something that we created called the On the Hour email campaign. So what is On the Hour campaign? It is a 4-week campaign where every Monday for the next 4 weeks, we'll send out an email to your company that includes some education on why we need to be active, particularly at work. It'll give you a sample schedule for the week that you can follow if you want of, every hour on the hour, how are you going to be active. It includes stretches and exercises that you can do in your desk or at your office. And then lastly, also includes just some more tips of how you can be active throughout your day and fit in that activity. And this is just showing one of the sample schedules that is going to be sent out to you. I believe this is the first week. Every week is different, but this is just a sample schedule that you can or cannot follow depending if you want to. You can just use it for inspiration for you to get some ideas of how you can be up and active, or you can just print it out every time you get a new week's email and put it on your office wall or next to your desk or something so you can have it, and that will be the schedule that you do every day for that week. And as well as sending out emails, we are also going to be posting things on our social media sites that are listed to the right. You can follow any of those, and we'll post articles and videos and tips and pointers and testimonies and everything that goes along with getting up and being active throughout the day. Thanks for listening to today's presentation, and as always, you can reach out anytime to any of our health coaches for a telephonic health coaching session or any questions about your program. There's our email address as well as our phone number. Thank you.